Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Today we're going to do kind of a fun video where I'm going to unpack the fabrics that I got on my Transatlantic cruise with RGE Travels. I got to spend 13 lovely nights at sea with many of you guys who watch the channel and have subscribed to Quilt Addicts Anonymous for a really long time. It was an absolute blast. I taught a triangle masterclass while I was there, and we had lots of fun stops in Portugal, Ireland, England, and Belgium. And so I have a little bit of what I got in here to share with you guys today. And I just want to tell you guys that if you missed out, we're going to be doing it again. We're going to a new destination this time. It is going to be a 7-night cruise of Alaska. So it'll be really fun. I've chosen one that has 3 cruising days through the Inside Passage and around a glacier. I think what we're going to learn is a 60-degree masterclass. That was really kind of a popular topic when I was kind of workshopping ideas with the folks who went along on the last cruise. And what I want to do is just do 3 blocks, table runner, something you can finish really easily and have a nice memory souvenir from the cruise. And we can walk all the way through from just the simple diamonds to adding in some triangles to all the other ways you can mix and match and do some strip piecing and put that in for our final really complicated block. So I think it'll be a really fun course to do, something that you can occupy your days at sea, and you can learn all about that over at the RGE Travels website. I'm going to include a link in the video to the informational PDF that you can fill out in order to get more info about joining me on this cruise. There are only 25 spots for quilters, so you're going to want to make sure that you secure your spot early if you want to go on the trip with me. We're going to start off leaving from Vancouver on July 13th of 2025, and then we get a day cruising the Inside Passage, and then we're going to head through the Icy Strait Point and have a shore day. Then we're going to have a day cruising the Hubbard Glacier, and then we get to have a stop in Juneau, Alaska, Ketchikan, Alaska, and then finally cruising the Inside Passage to head back to Vancouver, British Columbia. We're still kind of in the early planning stages, but we're looking to put together some shop hop excursions, both in British Columbia of some local shops there, as well as when we get to Juneau. And we're also talking with a museum there to see if we can maybe see a textile exhibit as part of that cruise. So it's going to be really fun. I'm the only instructor for this one, so I will have a lot of hands-on in deciding what we get to do and how our schedule works. And I think it's going to be an absolute blast to come along. And remember, there are just 25 spots for quilters. That does not include any family you want to bring along, but they will fill up kind of quickly. I think we had about 16 that signed up last time just to see me of all of the instructors. So you're going to want to make sure that you sign up early. Now, to get more information about this, we're going to link to the PDF over at RGE Travels that you can fill out to get more information. Filling out the information does not sign you up for anything. It just lets them know that you are interested and you would like to learn more. And that way Ray and John can follow up with you. It is a blast to go with them. They're a hoot. We'll get to have dinner with each other every night, and as well as have a little evening sit and sew. That'll be fun too, where we can work on our projects or just gab, and that is a lot of fun. And Ray and John make sure everything is handled. Everything, the price you get is going to include everything you could possibly need. You're not going to be nickel and dime for anything. So when you get there, you know what the price is going to be, and you can just sit back and relax and enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime cruising opportunity, as well as being able to just learn something new, hang out with me, hang out with my kids who are coming, and hopefully my husband too, if he can get the time off. So we'll see how that shakes out. That's enough about Alaska. What I'm going to do here is I have had this suitcase sitting here since I got back. It's my daughter's suitcase, as you can tell by all of the color. And I have all the fabrics that I purchased in multiple countries in here. So I'm going to show you both how I folded it in order to get it back, because I had a very special way of folding so that it would fit in the carry-on. This is actually smaller than a carry-on size because it's meant for a child. And then also kind of give you a little show and tell of what I found. This is the suitcase. You can see that it is only half of the suitcase is here, and I've got a lot of trims that I purchased here as well as lots and lots of yards or meters, because I was in England, meters of fabric in here. And I'm going to kind of tell you the story behind each one. And my goal when I went overseas is I'm trying to get my publisher to let me and my friend Chantel Irish, you can follow her at So Freaking Awesome on Instagram. We're trying to get my publisher to let me do with her a doll clothes book that is more modern and fun, as opposed to a lot of the patterns that are out there now are really more like things that would have been really popular for me to wear in the 90s, but not so much anymore. So that way you can create the cool fashions that your kids and your grandkids are playing with and maybe buying from places like American Girl, but you're gonna be able to create those on your own. So that was kind of my goal. So everything in here, almost everything, is a tiny print. And so that way it can work for doll clothes sized material. A lot of it is also the 60 inches wide, because a lot of it is meant more for garment fabric. So there really are a lot of fun things in here to check out. First, let's go over how I folded it, and then we'll go through everything. So like I said, these were entire meters of fabric, so they were very large. So the first thing I did was fold it in half, and then again in half. So that way I had a 1/4 meter. So at this point, I folded it in half and in half again. And because a lot of what I got was garment fabric instead of quilting cotton, it is a little bit thinner because it needs to be drapier. So I was able to fit quite a lot of fabric in here, as you will see as I unload everything. So before we even left the States, we had shop hops in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm going to do more videos about the whole process of the cruise, kind of like a vlog situation. So I'm not going to go into like the whole shop hop right now, other than to show you what I got at them. I'm aiming to do one video a week until I get through all the content from it. This last summer I've been working on my next book, and so that has consumed a lot of my creative time, is to work on that. So, but the first thing I want to show you, it's not fabric at all. These must have come out since I closed the shop, because these Tula Pink project bags are awesome. I was kind of thinking about making my own version of this to be able to fit Tula Nova in it. And when I saw this and it had the owl, which I love owls. We all know that I love owls if you've been following me for any length of time. This was perfect because my center of my Tula Nova doesn't fit in the bins that I typically store my pieces in. And I'm also able to store other parts as they're ready to go together in the quilt. So this was an amazing find at one of the quilt shops in Florida. Another thing that I really enjoy finding when I go to different places are different types of fabric, because you know, we all can shop the big box stores to look for apparel fabric, but you never quite know what the quality is going to be when you get there. And I love making garments for my kids. So when I found this adorable eyelet fabric and saw that it had this beautiful scalloped edge, and it actually goes edge to edge like that. So I can make something where like this can be like a skirt hanging down. It's about the right length for my kids. And then they had a coordinating, very lightweight fabric to go with it. I was like, sold, give me 3 yards of each. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I will make something fabulous for the girls. So maybe if you come join me next July, this might be something that you see them wearing at dinner one night. So I didn't want to blow my budget too bad before I even got on the boat as far as fabric was concerned. So that was all I got on the shop hop heading out, besides some notions that I couldn't find. Then we were at sea for 7 days where we did our retreat at sea, and it was a huge blast. And I got to do things like hand sew English paper piecing while sitting poolside and watching the ocean go by. It was so cool, so absolutely cool. But our very first stop was in the Azores. It is a small volcanic island outside the coast of Portugal. It's like Hawaii, but in the Atlantic instead of the Pacific. It's gorgeous. The streets are all have these beautiful paving decorations, and at some point there will be quilts that I design that are inspired by all of the architecture and the stonework that I saw and tile work while we were gone. But this store was so fun to visit. It was like you would imagine a general store to be back in the 1950s. I didn't exist in the 50s, so I don't know how this actually worked out, but you could get everything like household goods, some food, and then in the back, they had this entire area that was fabric and notions and trims and things. This was where I really kind of started off with the tiny prints. So I started off with a lot of stripes, checks, dots, things like that I could really have some fun with and really add a lot of trim to, where the fabric wasn't going to be the big star of the show. So I have this really tiny, I mean, I can put my finger on it. You can see that 3 stripes takes up the width of my pointer finger. So this is a really great tiny trim or tiny print. When you are working on a small scale, like for kids and especially for dolls, you don't want the print to be absolutely gigantic, because then it will kind of overpower everything and it just won't be a successful design. So you want to go as tiny as you can. So that was print number 1. And of course I put all of these in color order as I was going through everything. Next up, I found this red check. I thought it would be an adorable like little picnic dress, or even potentially like a little tablecloth or something. This one definitely has a polyester feel to it. It is a little bit thicker and it has this beautiful woven plaid to it. And you can tell it's woven because it looks the exact same on either side. And if you actually look at the sides, you can see that the threads coming off it are pink in some areas and white in the other. The challenge with doing something like this as a print as opposed to a woven piece of fabric is the print is never straight, right? Here, you're going to be able to cut it along with the plaid design, and I'm going to be able to have everything hang really nicely. So that'll be really cute. And we have some mix and match possibility with a super tiny dot, a nice woven stripe. This one again feels a little bit more substantial, but I can tell that this stripe is going to be nice and straight because when I look at the edges, I can see that the pink is actually woven into it. Here is another woven. It is the same as the pink one, just this one's red. I thought this would make a gorgeous patriotic kind of jubilee. And again, it is a woven print, so I'm going to have no issue with things not being as straight as they should be. We have a very tiny woven check. It is the same as this one up here, but in blue. So again, nice patriotic options for that, or just a nice little summer garment. And here is the same stripe as the pink, but this time in blue, so I have some options. And finally, I decided to also get a woven green to go with this red. Maybe we'll do some holiday wear out of that. It's going to be really fun. I'm like really excited about it. I actually have been drafting patterns for my daughter, so I'm excited to take those skills to the doll. I've signed up myself up for a course on doing all kinds of pattern drafting for an American Girl doll. And the idea is it really just doesn't take up much fabric, right? You can learn the skill, you can learn about moving darts and whatever, and at most you're going to use maybe a quarter, half yard of fabric at the absolute most. And so you can learn all those skills on how to manipulate garments around the body, but with not a whole lot of money involved in the fabric, just your time. So that's not so bad in my opinion. So this is all that I got fabric wise at the Portugal store. I also went a little nuts getting the tiny trims to go with that. I was just obsessed with these tiny trims, and I just got like a meter of everything that I thought would be cute and work with the color range that I had here. This one is a great way to get some little inset lace, and I'm able to just kind of put some fabric right up to it and create a really cool little treatment. I think that is going to look really, really cute. This I think would be a great detail to put along a hemline or something, or maybe some sleeves. Layering trims, also super fun. Great way to create a different look. So like this one's kind of bigger. This is probably as big as I would go for a doll. It is probably about 3/4 of an inch wide, but look at when we layer something else on top, it creates a whole different look and makes it work a little bit better for the doll clothes. This one, I don't know if you guys have ever seen pillows that look like this, where you get the trim and there's a little chain around it. This is meant to be removed, and then you have this little tussle. You can see it's come off here, and you get a really fun little effect that would be, I think, really fun for some flouncy sleeves, or maybe like a boho jacket or something. This one is really similar. It's a little bit smaller scale and also a bright pink. I thought this one was also really cute. And you know, this edge here, not so cute, but that's what's gonna end up in the seam allowance. And so then you just get this really fun little texture that maybe you could lay over. Like, look how cute that combination is. You can see I got duplicates of several things. This is that same little trim again, where this part will come off and then we'll have the little tufty bits. And this just allows me to have some options when I'm playing around and deciding what I want to do. This is another one that's kind of like the first one I showed you, just instead of having this bias tape on both sides, it's only on one. So you could use this in a bunch of different ways, but a nice little sleeve trim so that you didn't have to hem, or a hem tape trim. There's so many options of what you can do there, because a lot of the doll clothes, like, it's the detail that really makes it work. Here's that same one again, this time in a nice seafoam green, because you know I love my teal. And one more time with that little flouncy bit. And you can see it's actually come apart a little bit here. Actually, it looks like that's where it was joined. And you can see that that'll make a really fun little extra. I feel like you could even like layer this up so that they're offset a little bit, because there's enough space in between them to where you could have them going kind of over each other like this. I think that could really be a fun thing too. So next we had a stop in Cork Island. I'm going to say that wrong. Cork. The American way of saying it is Cork. And that was the last stop that the Titanic made before sailing on her fateful voyage. And we did not go to any of the yarn or fabric shops there. We just took tours of local history, so that was really fun. The next place we stopped was Dorset in the UK, and I was able to find 2 fabric shops there that were fun. And it was a like stereotypical rainy day in England, so it was really fun to kind of walk around and find some goodies there. I got a bag that is now my official yarn bag, because it has sheep all over it and like a tapestry type situation on there, and it is so fun. So again, I was on my tiny print, and these are like so cool. So this is a woven print. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love all the detail work that went into this on the loom. It is just so absolutely stunning. This one was more of the brighter, hotter hue, and then I also got one that is more jewel tone. So at some of the stores you could get a 1/2 meter, and at some stores you could only get 1 meter or more. So you just ask when you're there what your minimum cut is, but don't be surprised if you have to buy a whole meter of something. And clearly I do not need a whole meter of any of this to make a doll clothes, anything from it. But a whole meter is enough to do something really cool for me too. So I'm really excited about these two and what I could potentially create with them. And in checking out the garment fabrics, so these are meant for dresses. And when you walk around England, especially in London, I saw a lot of women, like fancy professional women, in the tiniest print dresses. And I'm not normally someone who likes to wear print, besides obviously my sweatshirt. I know I'm going to get comments. This is from Bowden. Online I spent way too much on a sweatshirt, but it's quilt related, so you know, I feel like I'm going to get some good use out of it wearing it here on the channel. And it is like Liberty-esque, so I felt like it was very appropriate for this video. But I love this tiny little leopard print. It's going to work great for whatever I do with doll clothes, and it also is going to work great for maybe a shirt for me, so that'll be really fun too. Same deal with this really cute floral. It is very teensy tiny, but it packs a lot of color and a lot of detail. So some of the things that we're normally expecting to see like really big from like a Tula, you can get on a really small scale. Now this one is not really like my favorite of all of them. I'm sure I will still find a way to use it somehow in some sort of way, like maybe with some of the polka dots that I had before and lace and make it work. But I think at this point, I just wasn't sure what I was gonna find. And I wanted to make sure that I had something that was a print, but now that I look at it, it really is kind of old-fashioned in the way that you've got your pretty roses in there. This one is much more Liberty-esque, and especially this one is really cool too. So I like those fabric choices better. And at some stores you can get fat quarters. They're going to be fat meters from a meter. But I got this little chambray from here. I did get 2 of them. That way I would make sure to have enough no matter what I did. And I thought that that would be like a really cute option for either a dress or a shirt or something. And this one I made out really good with the fancy trims. So when I think of the fancy dresses that I had as a kid from American Girl, and then also buying for my kids now, it's these teensy tiny gorgeous trims that are really hard to find in the US. This one has a little bit of scalloped edging on it that makes it even more exciting, and there's like clearly a right side and a wrong side to it. So when you're adding trim to a piece, that is really what takes it over to the next level. So we have all of these here that will work really well for some holiday dresses. This one good for patriotic. This could just be fancy, who knows what, with that silver in it, and maybe even some layering of ribbons so we can see a couple different options and really spice that up. This tiny, tiny little gold is absolutely gorgeous. You can see these 3 are the same. It's just we have our red, our green, and our gold, but they also work really well with these ones here. And then also a teensy tiny little stripe or gingham there. And these are all just absolutely stunning. They look great. They're going to look great with some of the stuff that I got in Portugal, and it is just so fun to work with. But you can see, like, here's my hand for scale. Look how tiny these are. I think maybe the fattest one is maybe like 3/8 of an inch here. This one has got to be like 1/8 of an inch, these little guys, and these are probably 1/4 or less. It's going to be so fun to work with. So our next stop was Bruges, Belgium, and that was really cool. It's a medieval port city where the port actually filled in with silt, and so the commerce moved to other areas of Europe, and this area basically stood still in time. So now you can still walk around the port city as it kind of was back in the day. And obviously there's modern shops, and it's really amazing to walk through and spend time in. We also kind of went all over and found some other goodies while we were there. One of the big things that it's known for though is lace. So I believe this lace is still pretty much handmade there. And I got 1 meter of each. It's absolutely gorgeous and stunning. I cannot wait to use it in a special project. And it is just a really fun and a great way to remember Bruges by. There were some other needlework shops there. It was not as welcoming as you would hope. There were yarn shops too that we didn't make it to, but the one that we did make it into, like, there were signs in multiple languages not to touch anything. And you know, us fiber ladies, we got to touch it. We got to touch it. And so it was really challenging to go through there and not actually be able to touch anything. But if you were into cross stitch, they had lots of really gorgeous background fabrics to choose from for cross stitch. There was a lot of needlework. It was kind of funny to get there and still see lots of DMC. I don't think I was also able to take any video in this shop. I think that was also a no-no. I did get a sock yarn that was like my Belgian socks. Eventually, I will have a nice cozy pair of worsted weight socks to remind me of my trip to Belgium. And now we get to the grand finale, and that is the London Fabric District and Liberty of London. So the cruise did not go to London, but London is a really easy place to fly out of. So we ended in Southampton. We're there long enough to get on a train and take it straight to London, where Chantal and I decided to spend 2 nights. So that way we could do the London bus tour around the city. We had some bucket list items that we wanted to get on there. We got to see Wicked, which was absolutely amazing to see that. And of course, we went fabric shopping like almost immediately. Well, literally, I think it was maybe the first thing we did. If you are used to spending $12, $13, $14 a yard max for fabric, you're going to have sticker shock when you get to London. I spent almost nothing in the Portugal shop when I was getting that fabric. London, it was a little bit more expensive, or the England shops a little bit more expensive. But then we got to London. Like, there was a store that we went into, absolutely gorgeous. Would have loved to work with any fabric in that store, but they were minimum of like €60 a meter, which is a lot of money US, because you got to multiply, at the time it was like by times 1.3 in order to get to US dollars. So I was not going to spend $90 a yard on fabric for a doll. I couldn't do it. But there are some places where you can get some stuff that's a little bit more budget friendly. So this one was really fun because we were able to kind of put together kind of an outfit, and there had been a bunch of samples cut out of this. So it was really fun to look at it and actually feel it, because this is a really lightweight kind of snakeskin-esque print that is lilac. So it's really fun. And although some of these areas I think are too big for a doll, there's enough area where I can fussy cut to be able to get the really cool bits. And then there was this fabric, which also I was able to feel. It's got a nice fun stretch to it, so might make like a really cute little dress or something. And definitely a completely different texture. And depending on how you look at it, it's very iridescent. It sometimes looks purple, sometimes looks more of a teal. It's really, really fun. And then we also found this gorgeous sequin. And this has that same iridescent quality, where I was able to see exactly how tiny these sequins were and know that they were going to work for my purposes of having it be like tiny print for doll clothes. And it has that same iridescent quality to it, where it looks a little pink and a little teal depending on how you're looking at it. So at some point this is going to be an outfit. And then we made it to Liberty. I didn't realize that Liberty was more than fabric. It has lots of really high-end bags, dresses, you name it, home furnishings, and it's all gorgeous, and my budget can't handle any of it. The fabric was gorgeous. You don't realize that it takes up like at least a third of one floor. It's really, really pretty to go into. I was trying to find a stripe, a solid, and a floral to go with everything. So that way I can mix and match and have different fabrics in one dress, but have it all look really cohesive. And all the scraps are going to be absolutely perfect for making a quilt from as well. So I started off with this peach stripe. There really is not that much quilting cotton. There is a section of it in the store, and don't worry, we're going to have a tour of Liberty later in this series. But right now I'm kind of just showing you the fabrics, and look at how tiny this is. I mean, you can see how tiny it is when you look at it and like next to my finger, how small those are. So that's going to be really fabulous for both piecing with it, and then also for my purpose of having some doll clothes as well. This is not quite green, not quite gray, but it matches really well with some of the darker shades within that floral before, and transitions really well into the next print that I chose, which is another floral, a little bit larger scale than the one from before, but still really pretty, really small, really fun. And then I added a nice bit of yellow, which starts to pick up on some of the kind of mustardy yellow-green florals that are in there, and comes into this berry print, which has like some bubblegum pink as well as a yellow that's very close to this, and the grayish tones in here are also going to work with the grayish tones here as well. And even some of this will work next to that bit there because the colors are pretty similar from here to here. Getting a little bit more bold, we have more of a deeper, not quite orange, but there's a little bit more orange in it. And it's got a little bit of here in it as well as back to here. This color can be seen in both of those. And it's in my next print. So this is like when you're looking for prints, even if you're just matching for a quilt and you are pulling everything together. It's not like this was all from one collection, but it works. I had kind of some parameters. We have some solids, we have some stripes to kind of tone down all the floral. And then I'm picking and choosing as I go to make sure that either a stripe or a solid is kind of calling back. Like this, not quite gray, not quite green, looks great with this entire situation here. And this yellow in the floral works here and here, and it just all works together. This stripe is much closer to that salmon pink, so again, it works really well with the fabrics I chose there. And at this point, this is where it kind of gets to be the most orange, and we're kind of pulling the most from the colors. You can see I have a lot more of that orange in there here, but we also still have the salmon. I really probably could keep going and add a little bit more blue, which I do have in here, but not necessarily to use in the same project. And then here's my orange. So you can see that we have a reason for going from this really dusty pink all the way to the orange, and it does flow really well. And so it will look okay as a whole quilt. It'll be busier than most quilts that I work with, but it's gorgeous. As long as we have a nice anchoring neutral, it'll be great. I do have some, this would not make it in the same quilt, likely. Parts of it might, like the orange I might use with it. But this one I thought would just make another fun, different outfit. This one is very geometric, but also still really on a smaller scale. So I thought it would work well for my doll clothes tiny prints assignment. And then I needed something to kind of anchor that a little bit. So we have a nice green solid. And again, I got everything in the Tana lawn. It is so amazing to feel. I cannot stress that enough. It is so fun and gorgeous to feel. And then another stripe. So if I wanted to, I absolutely could add in like this one into here, because this absolutely works here with that, and have that be part of a quilt. I would not probably include these two in a quilt because there just isn't enough of it present in some of the other pieces that I chose. And then I got a couple of things just for practical sense here. I did get 3 meters of their, I think they called it paper white, which is the whitest one that they do have for the lawn. And this one I also got 3 meters. It is kind of a smaller print. This is not something that I would use in a doll clothes situation. I got this specifically for me to be able to make a shirt, and I wasn't sure how much I would want or need or what I would be making with it, and I just didn't want to like run out and not have enough. So I got probably more than I needed there, and I could use bits of this, like this green I could absolutely use for some of the accents in there, and that would be really fun and cool. And then this one just really caught my eye. This is Liberty, and it's the London Fabric Shopping District, and then right at the center of it is Liberty. And I thought that that was the coolest thing ever, was to have this. So this absolutely needs to become a garment for me at some point. So these were the trims that I got at Liberty, and by this point, like, I have well blown the budget. So I did not go too nuts with the trims here. I really just wanted to get some that I knew would work with what I had already gotten from Liberty. So like this one here, and I only got 0.5 meters. That works across a lot of those fabrics. And I thought the design was so unique. Like, this is not something that I would be able to find at Joann's. It just doesn't exist. And same with this one. So this little bulb design I thought was really reminiscent of these little berries, and the colors again just worked really well with a lot of what I picked. So I thought that this would make a really fun potential waistband or something. And then I got some tiny rickrack. This you can get in the US, but I found it sometimes it's hard to find it on this scale. Whenever I do see it, I buy it because I know it's a challenge to get. But this is just so cute. And again, it works with a lot of what I have going on here. I can use that in a lot of different ways, basically with this entire section of fabrics that I've chosen. And then I also got a lighter pink version that again works with a lot of my other fabrics up here. So that's it. That is my Transatlantic Quilting Cruise in fabric and trims. I also got some beads. I also will pull out the beads if I can find the beads. Again, all in the name of doll clothes. Would definitely be that situation. But it was so fun to be on this trip, and I am so excited to visit fabric stores in Vancouver and Juneau and wherever else I can find them on the next cruise, which is going to be in July of 2025. We are going to be cruising the Inside Passage and around a glacier in Alaska. It's super exciting. Make sure you click on the link in the video description down below to get more information about there. You're going to fill out an interactive PDF, and that just lets Ray and John over at RGE Travels know that you are interested in joining us. Doesn't commit you to anything. And if you would like to join, then they will take care of you. Remember, we just have 25 spots for quilters. You can bring your husband, you can bring your kids, you can bring your significant other, you can bring your quilting best friend, whatever. You can go solo, whatever you want to do, it's all good. There are roommate possibilities where you can be matched with a roommate if you are traveling solo. It is a really great way to be. There's scooters that you can be. Mobility is not really an issue when you're on the ship. Ray and John make sure that if you do require assistance getting around, that you have what you need in order to be able to do that. We had folks there that were in scooters all the time when they were going from place to place on the ship. You know, it's totally doable, and they are there to accommodate you if you need it. So it is super fun. I'm so looking forward to doing this again. You get to hang out with my kids and maybe my husband, we'll see. And until next time, happy quilting. Oh, and stay tuned because I'm going to be like doing vlogging of all the things because I took so much video and so many photos of like the whole process. I was literally 17 days worth of video. So I'm going to try to do like one a week and from here on out, and so you guys can kind of see the process with me. And once I get through this dang book, there will be tutorials again too. So until next time, happy quilting.